Holy Jeebus, Death Stranding is divisive. Death Stranding has been one of the most anticipated games of this year. It's Kojima's first project after his split with Konami, and he finally has full control of what he makes. And boy did he hit the ground running. Not only did he create a world that is insane visually, but he also made it about the postal industry. For fans of Kojima's other work, this is a jarring change. Kojima is known for his work in the action genre. Metal Gear had innovated combat and stealth mechanics, and Zone of the Enders is one of the best mech games I've ever played. But what's with the mech penises though? But to go from that to this has left many disappointed. A lot of people find the game too tedious, boring, a constant fetch quest that leaves them unstimulated. I was lucky enough to go into this blind, so I was able to have a fresh perspective. And after putting in over 45 hours into it, it's probably one of my favorite games now. Why do you ask? Because it's different. Am I saying all these people are wrong? Well, maybe. Okay, I understand art is subjective. It's totally valid if you feel that it wasn't scratching that itch for you. It's not for everyone. But for those people saying it's terrible and the worst game ever, I think they're missing the point. I mean, come on, it's Kojima. It's not like some dumb studio that hasn't made a good video game ever. We have a roster of veteran developers who have put many years into their craft, and most of these guys have worked on previous Metal Gear games, so the talent and vision are there. So what went wrong? Why is Death Stranding getting such a mixed reaction? I think it's the fact that it subverts your expectations and gives you something unique. It makes the player look at games in a different way. Less as something just fun and more of a journey that makes you earn its secrets. It's one of those games that pushes the industry as an art form and not just a piece of entertainment for our dumb brains. On the contrary to what a lot of critics are saying, I believe that the gameplay reinforces the tension and drama of this story and really gives it its impact, especially near the end. I believe that us as consumers have forgotten that games don't need to be an escape. It can be an experience that makes you question our society and what it means to have fun. It doesn't need to be action-packed with crazy explosions and gunfights every 2 seconds. Something that we just turn our brains off for. Games can be used to tell complex and introspective stories using all of what the medium has to offer. To showcase this, I want to go over 3 main areas that I think reinforce that concept. The story, the aesthetics and art, and the mechanics and gameplay. Yes, I understand that some of these topics overlap, but bear with me. And also, spoiler alert! I'll be talking about parts of the game that you can't access within the first hour. So if you haven't played the game, get the hell out of here! I will be showing some things from the end, but I'll be talking about some of the mechanics up till chapter 7. The story. Okay, so number 1 on the list is the story. Self-explanatory, right? Now going into this game, I had the feeling of what the fuck is going on? And judging by the public's initial reaction, I wasn't alone. I was completely enamored by the concept, and I was excited to find out what the game was all about. Now, there's sort of a contract you enter with Mr. Kojima. You, the player, are going to be subject to a weird and complex story. You'll constantly be confused, and Kojima will tease you the entire time. Just look at Metal Gear Solid 4. The game had an hour-and-a-half cutscene at the end to explain to you what the fuck's been going on. No different here. But what I mean is the story is big, and there's a lot of knowledge that isn't given to you, and you'll be pleasantly confused for quite a while. A lot of things happen without explanation. So, just to give you a little insight, Death Stranding is set in America, and boy is it fucked up. The world has become interconnected with the afterlife. This connection has made it possible for creatures called BTs to creep into the world of the living. You play as Norman Reedus. He is a delivery man who happens to be a repatriate. Your goal is to head west, reconnecting America by visiting these different cities and bringing them together with the chiral network, trying to discover what caused the Death Stranding, all while fighting against the game's resident dickhead, Higgs, a powerful terrorist who can control BTs. You'll also encounter a mysterious soldier, but he's not important. The narrative is rich with lore and concepts that push the player to want more. We want to figure out what it all means. The pacing can be a bit wonky at times, and the narrative can be overbearing. This quote by Colin Campbell sums up Kojima as a writer. Kojima is awful at telling a recognizably coherent linear story, but he is highly skilled at creating a vast narrative landscape of intrigue and then smashing it up into a million pieces before allowing us to see each of them one at a time. The initial confusion is part of the thrill. This is true. The mystery keeps the player stimulated outside of what the gameplay offers. You will be making these incredible long journeys, and you'll spend the whole time making theories and questioning what's going on around you. By having you travel these long distances by yourself, it lets you be contemplative and soak in the story without too much outside distraction. Boredom isn't a wall, it's a window. It's a way of paying attention. It doesn't necessarily dull. Sometimes it heightens. Art and aesthetics. Art and aesthetics kind of go hand in hand with the story. They help create the mood to what is being told. Yoji Shinkawa is back at it again with brilliant art direction. While the 3D scanned actors are impressive, I do miss the old model designs of Shinkawa. I mean, look at this art. Suffice it to say that the aesthetics are what really drew people to this game initially. All the characters are unique, and the environments are breathtaking. The visual look of Death Stranding is so bizarre. The inverted rainbows, the strands coming from the sky, the handprints, the BT's ethereal nature, they all have meaning. Even the landscape tells a story. While quite barren, the mountain ranges and valleys give an alien feel to the world. Remember, this is supposed to be the United States. We are so used to as consumers as seeing barren open worlds as a bad thing. But here we have an interactive world where every rock and bump matters to the player's journey. None of it is meaningless. What also helps add to the surrealness of the world is the music choice. When you finally get close to your destination, it plays a variety of music that is, for the most part, kind of sad. I mean, it makes you think, God, is this all that's left? And in some of the more emotional parts of the game, it will really hit you hard with just the right piece of music. The world is a character in and of itself, but to talk about that, we need to adjust the elephant in the room. The gameplay. Alright, now I've been looking at many reviews and it's hard not to feel frustrated at how people are depicting the gameplay. People are saying that if it didn't have the balance and the encumberment mechanic, it would be a lot easier and more fun to play. However, I believe it's precisely those mechanics that give the game such a unique appeal. Having to worry about which route you're gonna take and having to decide what to bring is what makes the walking fun. This ain't no goddamn Skyrim where you can just ride a horse up a fucking mountain, totally devoid of thought. Your brain is constantly stimulated in solving problems. You'll be thinking, okay, so this route seems the best since it has even ground, but there's timefall that way, so there may be BTs. And I can only bring one ladder, so I have to make it count. And also, who the hell is Die Hardman? And why is he called that? While the game is making you solve all these smaller problems, it gives you a bigger mystery to try and unravel. And the farther you go, the tougher it gets. All the new locations you will visit have history, ruins of forgotten cities, craters from voidouts, other settlements, and so on. It's less about the packages you bring and more about experiencing the world around you. The mountains and valleys are boss fights unto themselves, and it takes equal amount of effort to navigate them as it would to actually defeat one of the bosses. Another aspect that adds to the game's atmosphere is its online community. It brings unique togetherness that isn't really in other games. While you can't see each other, you can place items and structures that will appear in other players' games. When you're on that grueling trek to the mountain and finally connected to the network, only to realize you have to walk back to the other Knot City, you turn around and see zip lines. Glorious zip lines. You feel a rush of thankfulness to these unseen people. It's like you're all trying to rebuild America together. It's a special feeling and one that you couldn't feel if it was easy to get around. You end up finding yourself making stuff solely to help out others. Death Stranding is so meticulously made that I feel it's in the same realm of Shadow of the Colossus and Ico. If Shadow of the Colossus came out today, I know there's a remake, but I mean for the first time, I think it would have a similar reaction. People tend to see games as nothing more than something to do, and game makers have been catering to that for a long time. We need more developers like Kojima to take risks and make games that are unconventional. Games that make you feel something other than a small hit of dopamine for killing a guy and leveling up. If you took away the walking mechanics and replaced it with a breezy third-person shooter, the story and atmosphere wouldn't be as impactful as it is. Take for example Dark Souls. The difficulty of its gameplay corresponds to the oppressiveness of its story and setting. If the game were easy, you wouldn't really get that. In an interview with PlayStation Access, Kojima himself said that he is expecting Death Stranding to have polarizing reviews. He mentioned that when people are faced with something they haven't experienced before, it can be a challenge. He wanted to make something new and show people a new system of gameplay. This game's unique mechanics draws emotions from the players that they don't usually get or necessarily want from a video game. Not everybody wants to feel that sense of road trip exhaustion that Death Stranding puts forward, but using these aspects, Kojima has been able to create something that's emotionally taxing and thoroughly engaging. The perilous journeys through dangerous and otherworldly territory. These are enhanced by rich narratives and characters. This is Kojima's way of re-establishing our sense of adventure. We can't let video games fall to that of simple entertainment. We have to uphold the medium's ability to move us as people. Death Stranding is about connecting, and while the game is polarizing now, in the coming years, we will all be able to connect this game to the integrity of the art form.